Everyone, today we are going to make a web design of an online resume of a web developer. So this is Ujjawal Chatterjee and I welcome to you my channel. So let's get started. So we have this Visual Studio Code, and let me okay, open folder. So first of all, we shall make a folder in which we shall keep all our files and different folders, inside of which we shall keep the HTML file and CSS file and the images. So we shall go to desktop and create a new folder. Here we shall name it resume, and inside that we shall create two other folders, or let's just select the resume folder and we shall do the rest of the work inside Visual Studio Code. So as we can see, the resume folder is here. Now clicking this icon will let us create a new file. We shall create index.html, and after that we shall create two other folders. One is CSS and another is this is inside of CSS, but we don't want to do that. We want to create a folder inside just resume, that is at the root. So now it is on the root. We shall create images. Okay, inside CSS we shall create a new file which is from this button, which is called style.css file. And now again we need two images at least. One is logo and the other is background image. Now I have made a new background image in Photoshop, which is currently my desktop wallpaper. I shall copy it to the working folder, that is here inside images. Now okay, so inside images we have these two files. Now in index.html we shall create the basic layout of an HTML file, which is using emmet. We just write exclamation mark and press the tab key. So here we have this basic HTML layout. We shall change the title. I shall write my own name, Ujjawal Chatterjee, and I shall link the style.css file using the link tag href css / style.css. okay, now the next thing is we shall create some new files and new sections and rows. Now first of all, whatever website you see, you will realize that there is a top navigation bar, and after that there is a whole screen which covers the entire viewport of the screen, that is the entire screen which you see. Okay, so that is the main header section. So in HTML5 we have a different HTML tag to denote the header, which is the header tag. So we shall open the header tag, and inside that we shall create a div which will indicate a row actually, but since we are not using bootstrap this time, we shall only use HTML and CSS flexbox and normal CSS. So we shall not name it exactly row. We shall call it top bar, and inside top bar we shall create a logo at the left side and a navigation at the right side. So first of all, we shall divide the whole screen into two parts, the top bar and the rest of the header. So we shall create a new div with the class top bar, and we shall create another div with the class header main. Okay, or we can also name it something else like okay, leave that. We shall consider that later. We can also give a class to this header tag actually. So let's give it a class header, Okay, inside top bar we know that we are going to create a logo at the left and a navigation at the right. So we shall create two different divs, one for the logo which is called top bar logo, and inside this div we shall insert the logo, which is the HTML tag and which is inside the images folder. That is the logo.png logo. Okay, and we shall also give it a class name which is logo, and we shall also create a navigation. For the navigation we shall use an unordered list, and we can also give it a we can also wrap the unordered list inside a container. Okay, so using actually a div to wrap the unordered list, actually it becomes easier to style them using CSS Flexbox. So let's just use a div tag, div actually top bar nav. So as you can see, I am using BEM notation, which is top bar. So I am repeating this top bar. So since this is the child of this class, so top bar is also here, and since this is also the child of this class, the top bar is also here, and dash then name of the exact div. So this is a kind of naming convention which developers generally use. This is something called BEM notation. You can search on Google about this. Now inside this we shall create an unordered list, and inside unordered list we shall create list item. Inside list item we shall create links. Okay, now we can give some class names. Navbar, okay, I forgot something actually. There is a actually HTML element in HTML5 which denotes the navigation bar. So instead of using a div tag here, we can also use a nav tag. So nav tag is especially made for navigation in HTML5. So we can give it the name top bar nav. Okay, inside that we shall create the unordered list, and inside that we can create the li and a tag. Okay, now we can also name it something else like a nav bar or anything else. So I prefer using the word nav bar because in Bootstrap we use the word nav bar, and for the UL we use nav bar nav. This is nav item because this is a list item of the nav bar, and this is nav link. Now don't confuse because I am constantly using the word Bootstrap. We are not using Bootstrap here, but I am somewhere using the naming conventions of Bootstrap so that you don't get confused when you are learning Bootstrap. So here I have used navbar, that is navbar nav, this is nav item, and this is nav link. Okay, we don't need to create a separate line for this. Now I can write just the word home or project skills, and I shall duplicate this line at least 3 times, and for duplicating we use shift then alt and the down arrow key. Okay, we shall change the name scales or projects, contact about me. Okay, now these are 4 links. Okay, let's open it with live server. So this is how actually currently the website is looking now. This is pathetic and we need to style, we need to give it a good look. So now I shall use CSS and CSS Flexbox to give it some good style and design. Now as we had discussed earlier, we shall have a top bar inside which there will be a logo, and on the right side there will be the navigation, and then there will be a next section. Okay, so let us first design the top bar, and before that I shall give this page a good background image so that it looks really good. I have made a background image as I had said earlier, and let us just set that. So before doing anything, always remember, before doing anything we have to reset the HTML elements. What do you mean by resetting the HTML elements? First of all, listen to this carefully. Every element in HTML has some default margin and padding. Okay, now if we don't remove those margin and paddings, then these websites, then our website shall look different on different browsers. For example, the p tag, for example, just suppose that p tag has a padding of 1 pixel on Google Chrome, but that shall be different on Firefox, that shall be different on Microsoft Edge, that shall be different on Safari browser. Okay, so to maintain the continuous design that we want to look our website, we have to remove those default margin and paddings, that is make them 0. So that is why we use the universal selector, which is the star, and just this is this universal selector actually selects all the elements that are present in a page. Okay, so inside the HTML universal selector, I shall write margin of all the elements will be 0, padding of all the elements will be 0. Okay, so you saw something happened. Let me delete this. They displaced a bit. Let me paste it. They displaced a bit. Look, there is no left margin. As you can see, there is no left margin, so this works. Okay, now one more thing that I want to bring to your notice is actually whenever you give some margin, or whenever you give some padding to an HTML element, it adds up to the original width of the image. So when you study box model of CSS, you will realize what I am saying. So to now, for example, this is really hard when you are a web developer, because you give some padding and the whole layout gets disrupted. Okay, so to maintain a good design and to make things easier, we define box sizing as border box. By default it is content box, but we define box sizing and border box. Now it is easier. Also, now the next part is we shall define the fonts. Okay, now let's go to Google Fonts. We shall choose a good font so that our website looks really good and appealing. Now this font looks really cool, but it's not what we are looking for. This is good, this is also good, and this is also good. Lato is one of my favorite fonts. Okay, let's choose Lato. Open Sans is also good. Let's choose why not choose Sans Pro this time. So let us remove Lato. Okay, let's mark this also, and this also. Okay, load time moderate, so let's remove this. Okay, load time fast, our website will load fast. Let's copy this link, go to Visual Studio Code, paste that here. Now as it says, specify in CSS font family this. So we want to set this font family for the whole HTML or body, so we shall use inside body tag font family this. Okay, so let us just delete this line. So as you can see, the font changed a bit. Let us use this line. The font changed, so this is working. Now the next thing is, we are going to use the rem and m units. We are not going to use pixels this time for fonts. We are going to use rem because for example, let us imagine you zoom. So as you can see, the fonts are also zooming. But when you use pixels, they become fixed size, so they don't zoom, and that is bad thing. So we shall use rem. But we know the default browser font size is 16 pixels. So whenever we are giving some sizing to any font, it becomes difficult to calculate. Now we know, because why does it becomes difficult to calculate? Because we have to know that 1 rem is equal to 16 pixel. Therefore if we want to give something 1.6 rem, then we have to first divide 16 divided by this and this, then this, then this becomes lengthy. So there must be some method so that this calculation becomes easier. So there is actually the font size is 62.5%. Now let us just open the calculator. 62.5% of 16 is actually 10. Okay, now we already know that dividing or multiplying by 10 is very easy. So now this is 1 rem or 10 pixels. Okay, so now even if we want to set the font size to font size 1 rem. Okay, hold. Let us define this inside HTML tag, and inside body we use font size 1 rem. Then this is 10 pixel, but if we use 1.6 rem, this becomes 16 pixels, because 1.6 into 10 is equal to 16 pixels, because 1 rem is equal to 10 pixel, then 1.6 rem is equal to 16 pixel multiplied by 10. So the calculation becomes easier somewhat. It becomes really easy. So again, we shall not be actually using 1.6 okay, we shall be using 1.6 rem, because this is the default. Rem is actually root m. Okay, to further know about this, just Google or take the help from YouTube. Now coming back to our design, we were going to give a background image to this website, to this header path. So we have given the class header, so we shall be using class header background image URL okay, that is the image that actually relative at the root of the resume folder. So, and we are here, so we have to first go back to the root and then go inside images and then choose this. So to go to the root dot slash, so we are at the root, then images, then background. Okay, so as you can see that this is here. Now we also need to define the height as 100 viewport height. So viewport is the screen that we can see. Now this covers 100 viewport height, that is 100% of the viewport height, that is the full screen. Now we shall give a background position, center, background size, cover, background attachment. Okay, let's remove. Okay, this is enough. Now this already looks better, but it is far from what we want. So now we want this top bar in which there shall be logo at the left side and this navigation at the right side, and for designing this thing we shall use CSS flexbox. Now the next part is creating the top bar or designing the top bar. So we have inside header the div called top bar, and inside top bar we have top bar logo and nav bar. Okay, so now we need this logo and this navigation side by side, and currently it is first this and this, that is in the vertical direction. We need this in the horizontal direction. So we know if we give some HTML element as a display property as flex, then they come side by side. So we need this logo and the nav bar side by side, so we shall give their parents, that is the top bar, as display flex. Display flex. Okay, so they are now side by side, logo is here and navigation is here. Okay. Now to properly actually see this, I shall also give it temporarily a background color which is has FA3. Okay, now we can clearly see they are side by side. Now this is temporary, this is not going to be permanent, we shall delete it later. Let's give it a height of 7 rem, which is 70 pixel. Okay, now this is somewhat smaller, so 10 rem or 100 pixels. Now this looks good. We can also give it 12 rem actually, which is 120 pixel. Okay, this looks good, this height looks good. Now the next we want this logo to be smaller. Let's actually style the logo top bar logo. Top bar logo is the parent of this image, so top bar logo. Top bar logo, we shall give it a width of 18 rem and height of 18 rem, and then we shall make this image maximum of its container. Image container is this and image class is logo. Logo width is 100% of its parent, that is 18 rem, that is this is the actual image. Now we can also give some margin to the image of at least 1.5 rem, that is 15 pixels. And now the image is at the correct position. Now next we want to style the links and make them at the right side, and in horizontal, that is inline items, make them inline items. Actually they are currently as a list item, but we don't want them to be like this. So we have this nav bar actually, and inside this we have an unordered list. So we want these list items to be side by side and not in vertical direction. So to make things side by side, we have to give their parent the name, the display property as flex. So parent of these nav items is nav bar nav. Okay, so also before that we know that the logo will be at this end and this nav bar will be on the right edge of the screen. So logo and the nav bar have the parent top bar, and top bar has display as flex. Then we can also define justify content space between, so this becomes at the right edge. We can also give space around. Okay, well, no, space between looks good. Okay, now this is at the right side. Now we shall style those things. First of all, we shall nav bar nav. Okay, ul, we shall ul or whatever you call it, nav bar nav list style none. This will remove the bullets. Okay, this has removed the bullets. Now next we want those links to be side by side. Okay, so to make them side by side, we can give it the property display flex. Display flex, they are now as side by side. Okay, now to next part is we have to create some space between each nav item. Okay, nav item. Okay, so nav item margin 0 at the top and 1 rem on left and right. Okay, now 1 rem is not enough, 2 rems. Okay, and we shall also create some padding. Okay, let us just first bring them to the center. Okay, to bring them to the center of the top bar, we shall use align items center property on the top bar. Okay, here is the top bar, logo and nav bar. Okay, so to bring the nav bar at the vertically centered, we shall have to use align item center on the top bar, because top bar is display flex. Okay, now this is at the middle. Now we shall increase the font size to rem, that's 20 pixels. This looks good now. So you see another thing, that this logo now has no margin on the top. Okay, however we have given already some margin to this. Let us just remove that. Okay, so seems like we have to give some more margin actually on the top and bottom. So on top and bottom we want 3 rem, and on left and right we want 1 rem. Okay, so this looks good now. Seems like this looks good. Okay, we can also give this property on here. Now the next part is we want those underlines to be removed. Now the underlines are due to the link, so we want underlines to be removed from all the links. So we shall actually select it, text decoration none. Okay, underlines have been removed. We want some difference in color, that is the font color. So we shall change the color of the font, that is font actually color. We want to make this white. Okay, it did not change. Okay, maybe we have to give the color to these links. Now we can remove this background color as its work is done. Now as we can see that this looks much better now as compared to the earlier. Let us give nav link, give it a color white. Okay, gives them some nice hover effect. Whenever we hover on any nav item, let's give it some background color as has 111. So but this looks actually ugly. First of all, we shall also change the color. This color looks good, but this looks ugly because there is no space around the text. Let's give some space using padding. padding 2 rem on, okay, 1 rem in top and bottom and 2 rem on left and right. Okay, this is good. We can remove some padding on the top and bottom. Let's keep 0.8 rem, and we can increase actually some on the left and right. Now this looks good. Let's give it some border radius as 30 pixel. Now we generally use pixels here because otherwise when we zoom in or zoom out, if we use rem, then the root value will change and it'll actually destroy our design. So this already looks cool. Now when we hover, the background becomes light, so the text should be dark. Nav item hover, then color should be black. Okay, so it is not changing, so give it color inherit. Now it will inherit the color from nav item. Change color here and give it here. So currently it is white, so this inherits the color from its parent, that is nav item. Nav item is a list item. We have given it the color white, and we have defined that the link, that is the nav link, will inherit its parent's color, so it inherits white, and when we hover, it will inherit the parent color, which is black. Okay, black looks actually dull. Let's give it some different color. Let's give it this color, maybe. Just look, this matches with the background, so okay, this is good. Let's give some animation, transition, all 0.4 second. This looks good now. So I think our top bar is already ready.